Hello, dear friends. We are back. I am Gabriela. Istvan is with us. Thank you so much, Istvan, for your time. It's a
Thank
great
you
to
very much.
know, like it's you give your time, which the only treasure we have, here on Earth. For the new guests or listeners who have not listened to any of our videos before, I would like enter in a way that I would like to say that we will talk about something that we call an art of self-creation, basically. It's not a medication, it's not a healing method, it's not a treatment. We are not giving guarantee for anything to anyone. We are sharing information to our friends who trust us, and so that they could use them, for their own benefit. And the system, what we are talking about, is available for anyone. They don't have to go and find the system through us. It's public. It's published already, and we just would like to share our own experience with this. So this was the entry, and please tell us the story you mentioned before, because we would like to hear more and more stories as they developed, and what was the starting point, where did you get to, and how, so that we can learn from it, and we can learn about how to really use it for ourselves.
May I mention before the story, what I would like to add to your words, that also for people who give trust to themselves, to the amazing personality or high dimensional being we have, what we call the soul. Because with our system, with the matrix apps computer, we are connecting ourselves with our soul. And the soul is sending those informations through patterns, what this beautiful panel, this beautiful device is translate to ourselves as verbs, as written form.
What kind of device we are talking about?
The matrix apps computer, which is a touchpad connected with a computer, with a laptop, so we can actually make the connection. So for those people who would not like to give away the responsibility, but who would like to take the responsibility for themselves, and possibly this is the way it's honest. In the previous topic, we were talking about autism and autistic syndromes, and you mentioned a story from California when a child was constantly waking through the night. Now, exactly fits into the story I was going to mention as the next case study or situation I have been through, and I'm in progress. When the minister of Congo heard about Matrix, the system, he flew to Ireland and purchased the system through me or from me. He bought a Matrix apps computer because it's great, an amazing possibility, with a will to reform the structure of health in his own country. His friend was looking for me for help for his son, who's 16 years of age. His name is Barnabas, and he was diagnosed by the medical profession as autism, so he had autism, and he was looking for help. They came to my clinic, and similarly to the first situation, he was guarded, but not as much as Roz was. He wasn't as hyperactive. He was able to sit, but he had to go to the bathroom in every 10 minutes. So we did a scan with Matrix apps computer to listen to that advice. And when we've seen from the reading that geopathic stress, underground earth radiation, is disturbing the child, as I was going to mention anyway, I got the feedback for its need. And I said to the father that when the child sleeps, before I would like to start his treatment, his first help with matrix drops, I would like to divine the place where he sleeps. The radiation, the presence of the underground radiation woke him up constantly. As his father explained, he said 15 times every night, he wakes up, jumping on his bed and screaming for years.
This is what I
for
experienced.
years.
Yeah.
He's a bus driver, so he was exhausted, so tired.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Before we started to give him matrix drops, I went out to divine for this child. Not only in this behavior, but sometimes he was aggressive as well. It's a kind of autistic reaction as well, and he was bigger than his father. So that's why he was possibly looking for help.
How old was he?
16 years of age.
16.
When I divined his back position, I found he slept in the Hartmann zone cross. The kidney, the bottom of his back where the cross was, and this was giving me the reason why he wakes up through the night 15 times. The father said trying to wee in the bathroom, but he couldn't. So he was standing because he had the feeling, but nothing came.
Why? Because it was like inflamed, or?
Inflamed. The possible of the inflammation was turned up in the reading. So that's why I recommended first thing first, the divining has to be done, and then I would like to recommend further.
So you were talking about the suggestion, because you said that when we were reading the suggestion, it was the suggestion of the computer.
Yes, of course. Matrix Drops computer is the only quantum computer which shows if the disturbance is caused by underground earth radiations, presence of entities, for example, accumulations of heavy metals, information disturbances caused by vitamin or elemental deficiency, for example, and even more. So when we defined the children back position, and even the fathers, because the whole house was involved, I recommended to shift his bed, which we immediately did. Even to the father, I said to move his bed, because he was in a radiation cross where underground stream and the Hartmann zone was present in his aura as well. And I said to him that the place is dangerous. Above these radiation crosses, people manifest cancer. He said that his wife previously and just died before he called me out. I think it was 3 months ago, she passed away, and she slept in this position where he moved afterwards. So we did this change in the house. And 1 week after, and it's on my phone, the father sent me a great thank or appreciation. And he said, Barnabas, since I left the house and moved him to the new position, doesn't wake up anymore.
At all?
At all. He sleeps again. I think he said in the first night, 1 or twice he woke.
I have goosebumps.
And then it stopped. So he sleeps again. Even he said how much he changed his sleeping behavior, and Barnabas's behavior to go to the bathroom is also changed. Now, this was the time when the drops just arrived, and I was able to give the treatment of matrix drops to Barnabas. the recommended informations which have been advised for a matrix drop instructor in case of his situation. So he started to take, and I was driving the father intention for gluten-free nutrition mostly. Barnabas' attention was also not present.
Like also you mean like Ross in the other
Like Ross's,
interview?
to the previous cases we were just talking about, I don't think, if I can say it this way, he wasn't as deep. He was standing on the street or just beside the house, seeing the cars, but never really communicated. I would like to share what we achieved by the first treatment and what feedback I received from the father, because we are in progress. He sent me a video after the first few months as they sitting down, and the child who had not much attention and communication, first time in his life, started to write down his name and say out his name together with the father. This was an amazing result in such a short notice of time by one treatment. And the father also said to me that meanwhile, if he was eating something, let's say it was a sweet, and from now on, it was a gluten-free sweet, anytime he had something in his hand and you were trying to ask to share, he went aggressive. After the treatment, he started to share what he had.
Unbelievable. Wow. Unbelievable. Imagine the parents, imagine the parents, like just seeing any change, after these decades of suffering, and unbelievable.
Yes.
So in the other video, we were talking about a lot about the protocol. So maybe we can refer to that if someone wants to hear really about the protocol. And we are talking about it a lot, and we want to talk about it a lot. And in my channel, I'm making a specific line with the videos which are talking about the protocol as it is, because that's the starting point. I will start my training now, but and there are a lot of different cases, like from all the walks of life, but I will start it with with the same teaching, which is the protocol, because it's the fundamental thing for all of the cases. Even if like there are some gentlemen who has behavioral problems, no health issues, but behavioral problems, and autism and eczema and epilepsy, whatever, we will talk about the protocol.
And the protocol is recommended in everybody's life to live as a lifestyle, even if we have nothing major, or we think we have nothing major, but we want to enjoy life. So we recommend the protocol for everyone who would like to take control on their lives, who's enjoying or wants to enjoy living. In case of children who have autism, when parents understand, we mostly recommend, and parallel with the protocol, we start the matrix drops treatments as well. So if somebody wants to take the control, the protocol is needed.
And so you would say, when the parents are coming with the child, let's say the child has autism, you would say to the parents also to practice this protocol, because it's basically like staying alive, staying healthy, staying sane,
And be calm because the child will need attention. And that's why if the treatment started or starts, I always say to set up their life for the next 2 years, because this is usually, or as the experience shows, the treatment, the length time for a child to get the desired well-being. And so in this case, yes, I myself always advise the parents for the need of the protocol, not only for the child, but of course for themselves, because very much the final result they are also as responsible for, because the child cannot take responsibility for themselves.
Yeah, and you can, of course, I'm sure, as you know, the medical world is dealing with that also, and I like to see that they start really acknowledging the helpers as being, you know, a case also, because these helpers, these parents who are dealing with this sickness for decades, they have to be treated also like you know, helping emotionally, you know, getting over the depression of, you know, not being able to help and assist their own child. That's an enormous burden on anyone, you know, just assisting the child and seeing and seeing the suffering and not being able to solve the problem at all.
And it's everybody's own will how they want to live their life. Today, the results, the matrix doxing inventors show András's school, which is organized all around the world, in America, in Hungary, in Ireland, in London, for example, in many big cities, is waiting for people to study and introduce themselves into this beautiful world from step to another, study the measurements, for example, for the underground earth rays, and experience and awaken the consciousness, the amazing gift we have for themselves.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. So we have, like András has a lot of places where he is teaching, or his instructors are teaching, and this is a method that can be learned, you know, like
Exactly.
like no one has to become really an instructor, but in a family someone can learn to divine, someone can learn, you know, this special massage method, someone can learn how to apply the drops, and the family can serve itself, especially when they have computers at home, like this kind of computer, or they can ask for an online scan, which is also available. So if they don't have anyone close to them, you know, who has a computer, they can call anyone, you know, who has and practicing this online scan. So from time to time, from 1 month to another, or a few months difference, you know, they can get a scan online, and then they can order the drops and practice the protocol, and that can assure a complete health.
Exactly. Everybody can experience the feelings of geopathic stress in András's schools. But it's one thing to experience and start censoring this reality. And it's another thing when somebody becomes an instructor whose life is constantly monitored and controlled by the spiritual world. It's amazing how we can introduce ourselves and get more and more proofs of this beautiful reality. And if somebody takes a proof, there are experienced, for example, doctors, like if we talk about Attila Palus, who's qualifying in the name of András those people who would like to prove their skills in András's massage method. What I like to mention or drive the attention is that these people are professional, unmistakable in their work, in their profession. But so it's a responsibility, and everybody can learn it, and this is the beautiful reality of it.
Yeah, and it is very important that it's not just the paper. They are being monitored by András and Ildikó, and from time to time, all the time, regularly. So whenever anyone can state that they are professional, you know, everyone can double check it through them, through András and Ildikó, if that person is really a professional at that date, you know, at that time, and really be sure about the results, you know. What was it? I wanted to ask something. Do you have something to add to this? I had a question, but it doesn't come to my mind.
Also, the matrix Raps computer will be an amazing proof which measures the invisible territories. If somebody is sleeping in geopathic stress, the computer will show. If the divining is accurate, it will disappear. If somebody say, I'm censoring the spirit, which disturbing me by sleeping, and because of the autistic children, there's much more disturbance it caused because they are too or very, very sensitive. Matrix Ops computer will show if the entity present on the person or in the environment. So a beautiful opportunity we were going to mention, and these case studies were possibly the proof for people, or my words, that the system, if somebody is willing to change their life, will give them the desired well-being.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, what I wanted to mention, it just came to my mind, is that divining is an ancient art. It was present in all the ancient civilizations, and it happened to me that once I was scanning someone, distance scanning, and he was in Chile, and this gentleman was really sick, like very, very sick, and no one could help him. And it turned out that he is sleeping in a geopathic radiation. And I told him, he didn't believe me. He didn't tell me he didn't believe me. But then after, you know, this call, he mentioned to me that he didn't believe me, but he went to the neighboring village and he asked an old gentleman there to come over to his house and divine the place. So it's basically present everywhere, you know, in all the cultures. And basically these are the people who are being used for spotting a well, you know, where they should, you know, dig in and create a well. So this is the same art, and that's very important to know, you know, that this is not something we are making up or András was making up. András has found a doctor's documents, if I'm correct, who was documenting these cases and entered, you know, all the proof to the medical world, and the medical world like kicked him out immediately, you know, that some kind of like not a professional.
The doctor in 1950s, yes. Exactly.
Yeah. So thank you very much. We will come back with other stories and other cases, and the protocol for sure, because this is what we want people to know about at first. And it is such a blessing that we can get back to the art of living, you know, yes, what our creators gave us, you know, to protect us. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.